Really sad time. We lost Rush Limbaugh yesterday. He has passed away at the age of 70. Of course, it was a year ago that he told us that he'd been diagnosed with lung cancer. And he mentioned I think this was the last time he was on the air, right before Christmas, that they didn't expect him to last until October, but he did, or November, or certainly December. He made it past all of those landmarks, but he'd been off the radio for, I think, 3 weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks, and so I was worried that it might have taken a turn for the worse, and apparently he did, and we lost an incredible patriot, absolute legend, an absolute powerhouse, and a man who, quite honestly, not just revolutionized talk radio, but really kind of invented it in the form that it is today. Because without Rush, that just wouldn't have happened. Before Rush kicked into gear with his national show in 1988, there was the Fairness Doctrine. And so you would have a conservative talk radio host, followed by a liberal one, followed by another conservative, and then another liberal. It just had to be equally balanced. Just madness. Why would you ever listen to that? Well, nobody did. So finally, along came Rush. And I think between his rise in national prominence and the Fairness Doctrine finally going away, provided the opportunity for the rest of us to enter this business. So he's going to be sorely missed, obviously, not just by millions of radio listeners, but he had a huge influence in American politics over the last 33 years. Just amazing. 888-900-3393. I mean, it's hard to believe he's gone, really, even though we've seen this coming for a year. It's still really hard to believe that he's gone.
Absolutely. And you're so right when you say that he is the reason that our profession exists.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's the reason why so many things have branched off right up to Blaze TV. Mm-hmm. Rush Limbaugh was an inspiration. He was a creator, and he was the original influencer, really. I think you said it best when you said not only did he influence and effectively create this medium that you and I are a part of, but he also changed the conversation in American politics and thus the direction of this country. Yeah. And you're right. He will absolutely be missed. It doesn't seem real.
Yeah, it's hard to get your head around it, that his voice is not going to be heard anymore. I never had a chance to meet Rush. Wish I would have, but I've listened to him since he started his national broadcast in 1988 when I was still in Salt Lake City. Found him on one of the talk stations there, and never looked back because he was just so brilliant. The guy could just sum up the way you felt and speak things for you that you didn't necessarily have the platform to do, especially at that time. And it made me love talk radio, even when I was doing music radio and still in my 20s. I always thought, wow, yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that sometime. So he's had an influence on probably virtually every single person who's ever been in this business since 1988.
Yeah. Yeah, I stumbled on him. I remember I was in 8th grade, I believe, and somehow school was out early this particular day, and I came home and I turned on the radio, and it was still on the station that the football game was on the day before. And so I didn't typically have the radio on at that time during the week, and I heard this guy making sense, and I never looked back, and he really changed my life and changed my perspective.
I think that happened for millions. I mean, literally millions of people over the years. We would tell you the same thing, the exact same thing. And then, of course, and this is why I don't read comments like this, I don't go to the comment sections of any of these stories because I just can't take it. But I heard from my sons who do read comments and checked out Twitter a lot. Apparently, the left has just gone nuts with savaging him because they're so tolerant and they're so inclusive and they're so loving. Things like hell got its devil back. Those kinds of comments from people who never listened to his show ever. Probably not a single moment of his show. May have heard clips from time to time. I doubt even that. But just because they knew how prominent he was, they hated his guts. And they'd know nothing, absolutely nothing about him. It's really sad to see him get brutalized like that from people who don't know what they're talking about. And
Yes,
it's amazing how they can get away with this and not be banned from Twitter, not be suspended at all. They can just say whatever they want, whatever hateful thing. And I thought hate was what we're trying to stop now. Nope. Only if somebody on the right hates somebody on the left. The other way around is perfectly fine. No problem with it at all.
It was a terrible display, humanity at its worst.
I bet. Yeah. Oof.
It was the exact opposite of unity that they claim to want. But it was a brutal day reading the comments from the left.
Did we do this to Ruth Bader Ginsburg? Don't think so. I never saw it. Maybe some people, a few people, but I don't remember any of it.
No. And you'll recall the moment the president of the United States, a Republican, the leader of the Republican Party, when he was informed of her death as he walked toward his airplane after a campaign event, it was such a touching moment.
Yeah.
His instinct, Donald Trump's instinct, was to be a human about it.
Right.
And to talk about how good of a person she was.
Right.
The left's instant reaction, their default, is the exact opposite.
It's absolutely despicable hatred. And I was talking about this with my family last night. My wife said, "Well, did you say things like that when Ted Kennedy died?" Yeah, no. No, I don't think I've said that kind of stuff when any of them died, when anybody on the left has died, that we've had some sort of celebration over it. We've had celebrations when, for instance, Harry Reid left office or somebody lost an election. I don't believe we've ever celebrated somebody on the left dying. Have we? I certainly hope not. If somebody can remember it, maybe you'll correct us. But
no, because if you did, it would make national news.
Yeah, and you'd be done. You'd be done. So
and we don't even want to react like that. We're human beings. Right. We want to defeat you at the ballot box, not because you're dead, and we're certainly not going to dance on your grave because we're all human beings at the end of the day. But boy, not yesterday. Not yesterday on social media.
And
you're
again,
absolutely right.
The left is they're the culture of death.
Yes.
This is what they thrive on. They're the culture of death, and it starts with abortion. They celebrate abortion death, and they love it. And for some reason, they can't get enough of it. And so it carries over into this, where we respect life. We believe life is precious, no matter whose life it is. It's precious, and it comes from God. And so you respect it all along the way, from the womb to the grave and everything in between. And I think that's what drives us. And it certainly doesn't drive the other side.